Recording in progress.
Newest member.
I
Josh,
think
you're on, your audio is off. Can you turn it on?
Fair enough, sorry.
There it is.
Okay, hi, Josh.
Welcome.
Welcome to our board. Thank you for joining, for God's sakes.
Hey, hey, Corey, how's our attendance looking for tonight? Is this all of us, or are we expecting more?
Max said he would try, but is out of town, so this might be all for the evening.
Okay, let's call it good then. I'll call us to order. And then we can get to introductions, since that seems to be actually where we should start. I'm Tyler. I know many of you. Nice to meet you, Joshua. Maybe first, do you go by Joshua or Josh? Do you have a preference?
Josh.
Okay, great. Let's see, where should we start? I'll just do a quick intro, I guess. It's been a while since we actually gathered. We took the last several months off, right? We took a little hiatus, but we're kicking it back off. It looks like if I'm looking at the agenda right, we have September was our last meeting minutes that we have to approve later in the meeting. So it has been a while. I will say I've been working very hard at not any parks projects in that time. I expect Councilmember Bodie has some other things that have been going on in the city with respect to parks that might touch parks. So maybe I don't know, do a quick, maybe just do for Josh's sake, just a quick intro for who we all are and what we've been up to. I'm sorry, Josh, I didn't mention, I'm the chair of our fine little committee here. And I've been I guess I'm starting my, I think technically third term soon. I think I took a bit of a break during COVID. So I think we're allowing some terms to go longer than usual. Usually just do 2 terms. And I live in Lake Forest Park and I like parks. I have 2 kids, both in public schools around here, and they use the parks a fair bit.
What schools are they in?
My daughter's in Brookside and my son is at Kellogg. Anybody? Alice, would you like to go next?
Hi, Josh, welcome. My name's Alice, and what do you need to know? I stepped in filling in somebody else's term, but I think that term just completed. So now I'm starting my first full term. But it's been about a year that I've been on the board. And last summer spearheaded yoga in the parks. So we had a 6-week series with local instructors teaching free classes in Animal Acres. It was really well attended. That was fun. And I also have 2 kids, one at Brookside and one at Pepita's. And my 3-year-old just told me that there should be a trail that connects Animal Acres to the Brookside Park, that with a bridge that crosses over the creek. So he's very civically engaged. 3-year-old.
Love it.
That's great. Hi, Josh. I'm Amy. I joined the board. I was just looking, my first notes are from October of 21. Yeah. And I am an avid pickleball player. I play up at Horizon View. I push the board really hard on getting, and Corey and Lori to get 2 courts painted up at Horizon View rather than 1, and that was approved. Thank you so much, and that's going to happen coming up soon. And then I spearheaded raising $5,000 to get semi-permanent nets for pickleball up there, and we got that. And those nets will be delivered to the park on March 2nd because they arrived much earlier than expected. And we're going to tape in the 2 courts. So we're going to give it a whirl and see how it goes. And so it's good. It'll give us a little bit of a confirmation that this is the way we want it set up and where we want them. And so it'll all work out great, I think, in terms of being able to tape them in. And yeah, I love the park. I've been going up to Horizon View for 29 years. So, you know, that's how long we've been in Seattle. And so I love the parks, and I'm so glad that you joined the board. Thank you so much. Our numbers are low, but our spirit is high.
I'll go next. I'm Lori Bodie. I met you, Josh, when you came to City Council. I've been on the City Council this is now my 4th year, going into my 4th year. So my term is up at the end of this year, and I have to decide whether to run for council again. I am the council liaison to both the Planning Commission and the Parks and Recreation Board. And this is going to be kind of a busy time for both, because the Planning Commission is starting with a mandatory update of our comprehensive plan, which actually has elements that include parks and recreation. So we're going to need to do some coordination. And I've reminded the Planning Commission that we need to do that. So one thing that would be helpful to do is to look at what's in our comprehensive plan, which is on the website. And maybe Corey could send that link out and just see what's in there on Parks and Recreation. My impression of the previous comprehensive plan is it's really pretty good, and it's a good base. It just needs to be updated a bit. The other big activity is for the Parks and Recreation Board, which is as soon as we can get our money and our consultant in hand, we're going to start, the board is going to be partnering with the council on public engagement for a master plan, both for our new Lakefront Park, but also updating our current plans for all the parks. You know, even since our last plan was developed, 5 Acre Woods is relatively new, for example, and has walking trails and so forth. And I do know that the board has talked a lot about trying to have walking links between the various parks, and also more awareness from our community of what parks we have, because some people don't even know that Grace Cole Park exists. Anyway, those are 2 big activities going on. I have noticed that public engagement and volunteering for things is a little bit down since the pandemic. I think everyone got kind of exhausted. So I think we have our work cut out for us, but I do think we'll have a lot of interest in the Lakefront Park and in updating the plans for the parks. I do think that the council would like to see what we can do to make our waterfront park a place for active recreation, not just a passive area. So, and it's going to be a good question what we can afford, because you know, we're really largely property tax driven, and we haven't raised our property taxes in 20 years. And so, for example, in my house, I figured out last year that about $700 a year of my property taxes go to Lake Forest Park. So I pay more to Sound Transit with having 2 cars than I do to Lake Forest Park for city services as part of my property taxes. So that's going to be our challenge, because it was a pretty resounding defeat for Prop 1 when we tried to put it on the ballot. So I think when we look at the park, we're going to maybe think about staging. Maybe we could stage development and activities. Parking and security are going to be important as well, and the connection to the park next door, the nature park that has to stay a nature park, will be also a question that we deal with. But there are we can probably arrange another tour of the Lakefront Park property when the weather's better, and you can see for yourself. There's a number of outbuildings that will have to be torn down, but there is actually a usable, looks like a 1920s Tudor house that could be a site for some community meetings and so forth. So I think 2023 is going to be kind of a busy year. At the same time that we're doing this, the Climate Action Committee is up and running and going to come up with their recommendations. So think about that. Comprehensive plan update, a new master planning process for the parks, and a new climate action plan, all kind of coming forward in 1 year. It's going to be fun to be a council member. So, any questions? Alice?
I was wondering if there's any discussion on the council about retooling, revisioning, and retrying a Prop 1 type levy.
There hasn't been, because it was a 67% no vote. But I do think that perhaps when we have a master plan put together, we could think of another more surgical way to take a run at it. I think that part of what is going to be a challenge is the maintenance and upkeep of the parks. We already get complaints from people who think that there's not enough maintenance and upkeep, and we're doing everything we can within the budget. But I do think that once we have the plan, it will be good to look at that. We also are thinking about federal grants, because we try to get grants wherever we can because it's free money. And one of the opportunities we've heard about, usually we aren't big enough to qualify for federal grants, but there's a program maybe in the infrastructure law where if there are community centers, you can get a federal grant. So maybe when we have our plan, it includes making the house that's on the property into kind of a gathering place or a community center. Maybe that will provide some opportunities to kickstart some funding anyway. So maybe is the answer. I think right now it isn't we have enough on our plate and the time isn't right, but eventually I think it's going to have to, there's going to have to be another run at it, because I think it's hard for people. How do I say this? The way the state law works, you're capped in total revenue. You can, as your property values increase, you still for the city as a whole can't collect more than 1% more than the previous year. So that kind of property tax cap, as values increase, your levy rate decreases. So then, even though you're trying to collect, only maybe $20 or $30 a month more, I'm sorry, a year more, or $100 a year more, which isn't very much, as a percentage of the now increasingly lower levy rate, it still looks like, a 50% increase or something like that. So the math is complicated for people, and there's enough people who just don't want to see taxes raised. So I think the challenge is how to design it so that it's likely to succeed, and then how to market it with the community. One comment I've heard is that we didn't really give it enough time with the community to build support. But once the council adopts it, we are limited in what we can do to advocate. So it's kind of, there's another issue there too. Once the council adopts the proposal, we're heavily muzzled. That's, the city is muzzled as a whole. Individual council members can still, talk, but anyway, thank you, Alice. I'm sorry if I got off on too much detail on this.
I think it's good information. Yeah. And it's kind of getting at one of our future agenda items, right? The planning updates, but maybe we can dive into that a little more when we get there. Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm due for my introduction. I also I have two kids. They're both at Lake Forest Park Elementary in 5th grade and 2nd grade, and both enjoy the parks. And I'm right now, I'm out of town. I'm for the first time actually meeting my coworkers at the Mountain Lion Foundation. So I'm in Sacramento, trying to get the internet in the hotel on my computer to work, which it's not. So I'm on my phone. That's why weird aspect ratio and any weird noises that you hear. But yeah, my background's in biology and the sciences and conservation and ecology. So I've been thinking more about that and what I can bring to bear from that angle on the parks, but also keep asking my kids to tell me what they want out of our parks. And when we go to any parks in the area, asking them what they like there and what we can bring here to Lake Forest Park. So looking forward to contributing and enjoying hearing and thinking about the opportunities and challenges ahead.
Great, thanks for joining the board with us. We meet monthly. I'm sure you've gone through all this part. We in the old days we would exclusively meet in person at City Hall, but since the pandemic, of course, everything's been remote, which is quite convenient in a lot of ways. I think most of us have found. I think a couple of us have popped in. Corey, you're in the actual building right now. I think I've been there once. I think a couple other. I think maybe Max stopped by. I can't remember. But so maybe at some point we'll get in person, or we will do a park site visit. That might be a nice way to connect. And I guess on that note, I didn't really do a good job introducing Corey. Corey knows everybody, but maybe Corey, if you want to give a quick intro.
Yeah, Corey Roach. I am the liaison to the Parks Board and Climate Action Committee, and then just do a little bit of everything around here. And just a side note, we do have one participant, Meredith, from the Planning Commission, just in attendance. And we also have Richie on the Zoom attendance, who did interview for a park board position today. She's coming in to check it out.
Great. Well, all right. I think that's everybody. We can move on to item number 3 on the list, which is to adopt the agenda. Corey sent out the agenda for the meeting earlier. Does anybody have any comments on the agenda, additions, or propose that we adopt it?
I'll move to adopt it.
Great.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks. That's our agenda. First thing on the agenda at this point is to review the meeting minutes from our last meeting from September 28th, 2022. Feels like it's been a while. Those are attached. My copy. Those are attached behind the agenda. Take a look. Let me know if you have any, or me, Corey or me. Let us know if you have any questions or comments.
I have Tracy, Councilmember Tracy on there instead of Corey, so I'll switch that before I.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just looking through a couple of those notes and remembering that was so long ago. Dealing with forest fires and smoke and picnic in the park. Any questions or comments, or move to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, let's vote on them. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Those are our minutes. Next is back into our old business. So we have a few things that we have been working on for, some of these are months, some are years. maybe we'll start with speaking of big projects, the Lakefront Park planning update. Corey, do you want, or Lori, do you want to dive into some details there? What we can
I
start
think
thinking
I
about?
talked about it at a policy level, but Corey, perhaps you can share with us the status of the funding and the timeline for getting a consultant to work with us and to map out a game plan for that.
Yeah, so we're putting together the RFQ right now, and then hopefully the first week of March, we'll get that posted and usually give consultants a couple weeks to review and to have opportunity to put their bid in. So, you know, we're looking at like end of March or April to do interviews and get a consultant on board and start beginning that process. So.
If I could say, add a little bit, so the board will be involved in learning who has put proposals in and have a chance to look at those proposals, and then perhaps a member, maybe our chair or whoever is deputized, could participate in some of the interviews. I think it's in all of our interest to get someone who will do a good job and who will actually listen to us and reflect, you know, take our comments and turn them around into very good work products that reflect our views. So that with consultants, that's always the challenge, but I know there are some good ones, really good ones out there who have done this kind of work before. So anyway, that's an exciting opportunity, because then by the time we get into April, May, we should have someone on board.
Great. Any questions or comments or thoughts about that, Alice?
Yeah, what's the scope of work for that? Is it architecture? Is it land planning? Like what are they? Is it sort of visioning the whole thing? What's their?
Yeah, it'll be visioning the whole thing, and plans to go out for bid once the city finds funding at that point. Yeah, it'll be the full plan, park master plan of the property.
Of just that property, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So Corey, what about the updated plans for the rest of the parks? What are you thinking? What's the staff thinking about the timeline for that?
I think once we get the RFQ for the lakefront property, next steps we'll be looking at the park master plan, and I think we still have to decide if we update off of our Prost plan or if we're doing a separate plan. But yeah.
So, okay, because I didn't realize that the RFQ wasn't for both. And so you're thinking that the master plan for the other parks would follow once the master plan for the Lakefront Park is done? Because this is something I should have talked to the city administrator more about, but I had originally thought they were going to be more melded.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be waiting for the lakefront property to be done to begin the other park master plan. It'll just be getting this one out the door first and then go to the park master plan.
So for the council and the board, it would be good to see a rough timeline, even if of the two parallel processes. Because I think and trying to get alignment among everybody on that would be helpful. So I talked to Phil tomorrow, so I will raise this with him, the fact that it would be good to rough out that timeline. And even if the dates slip, it doesn't matter. We at least have kind of a vision of how it's going forward. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. Thanks. I'm getting it'd be good to see it in one spot to know kind of how to see how those connect.
Yeah, and I think especially for the work plan of the board in the time ahead, knowing that we have a reasonable schedule and manageable bites makes sense. There could be a couple of months where there might have to be 2 meetings a month instead of just one, but I think that we have to, kind of look at the next 12 months and see what the parallel paths are for those two processes.
Limited staff here too, so.
Well, exactly. I think that it's all of the above. So I just think having a concept and a rough timeline ahead of time will help us all make sure we have reasonable expectations instead of things we can't deliver on.
Well, and a common understanding, I think, is good too, upfront. It's helpful.
Once we have it like a consultant on board for the lakefront property, they're the ones in charge of really laying out a schedule. And with staff and the park board will probably be involved in this too, of like really what's the schedule looking like, when is realistically completing that, so forth.
Yes, I just want to see it in parallel with at least a rough concept of the master planning or the Prost update or whatever it is we're doing for the rest of the parks. Because I do think the Parks Board is still probably looking at some other things like the follow-up to yoga in the parks or other activities like that. So we have to figure out how conceptually it all fits together. So I get that the details are going to come once we have the consultant, but the rough plan we should be able to map out. So as I said, I'll mention it to Phil to make sure we can do that. I don't think we're asking for something too complicated, just kind of a rough a game plan so that we all can be on the same page as Tyler says.
Yeah, and to reiterate, I don't think it's the final timeline of any sort. Just trying to get something to start with. And then really good to hear your thoughts about how this board would be involved. So the first look at that would be not at the RFQ, but the responses to the RFQ. Is that likely right? Okay, so that will be in April-ish as a again general timeline, and then make a decision. The city will make a decision. I don't know, around then, by May-ish. Does that seem roughly right?
Yeah, I think before May.
Okay. And remind me, who makes that final decision?
It'd be city staff, whoever, it'd be probably a group decision. There's probably going to be a ranking, scoring type of thing. It's qualified and within, budget.
So the answer is the city staff leadership will make that decision.
Okay.
I know it's the mayor and the city administrator and the public works director are all very interested in having a successful process. And I just would say the council and the board will be kind of partners in the public engagement. So to some extent, our resources and your resources will partner together. And board members are both here in this process representing the public and the community, but also reaching out to the public and the community. So you have kind of two hats in this process that goes forward. But the consultant, it's important to pick a good one because then it makes everything easy for the board to have a good consultant. So I'm really optimistic that there's some good candidates out there from what I've heard.
Great. Any other questions, comments on this? This is a meaty one. All right, well, if anything comes up, we can maybe bring it up toward the end, but we have, as Lori mentioned, we have other things going on too, although that's a pretty good one. One of, at least in my opinion, this board and is our biggest success, I'd say, so far has been the yoga in the parks from last summer. Should we talk about doing it in 2023? I'm guessing that's why it's on the agenda here.
I believe we already did.
Great.
We talked about doing it and we talked about improving, and we had a whole discussion about that in terms of, I know Alice had a lot of new, more ideas. It was so successful. It was great. So
I think the biggest place for growth is that it's such a wonderful, this is not a good phrase, but captive audience, or, like, it's such a wonderful, it's an immediate audience of, not everyone lives in LFP, but a good majority of the folks there live in LFP. And I feel like we kind of, well, we did great, but we can seize the opportunity to connect with people in many ways. And I'm just thinking about how this maybe connects with the work of the consultant. If yoga in the parks and other summer events could be places where, if we're just committed to having a table every week, we can be sharing information and asking questions. But yeah, we never had like a sign up. We never started an email list. We didn't sort of do any of that info gathering. And so I think one thing to do might be think about what are our goals for it. Because we created a great event, people had fun, it built community, and like maybe that's enough. But if we have bigger goals in terms of particular kinds of community building or engagement, we could start thinking about that now.
Alice, Josh, do you know what yoga in the park was?
I'm familiar in broadly. I haven't taken part in it, so I'm happy to.
Yeah, Alice, why don't you just take a minute and just tell Josh briefly what the program entailed? I want to include his ideas and make sure he's up to speed on what you did. Certainly,
it was really fun. So it was sort of inspired by some time that I had spent traveling living in this one town where there was just always yoga happening in the main plaza of this town. And it just felt good. It felt like, life is in the streets and you meet people and you meet your neighbors. So wanted to replicate that. About 100 years ago, I used to teach yoga. So I sort of worked my network and then also advertised more widely on local Facebook groups to find local instructors. And we started big. We were going to do 8 weeks and it was going to be yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, like dance, Zumba, and then reality kind of set in. And we realized what would work would be 6 weeks and it was all yoga. It ended up being all yoga. And that was partly because of infrastructure. Like it turns out you need a floor if you're going to dance. You can't dance on grass. Okay. But also just because of the expertise of the people who were interested. And the city did fund it. We were able to pay a stipend to the instructors of $50 per session. Folks came, they signed a waiver to participate, but it was free. And I would say attendance was never less than 40, and probably the highest was 60. So it was like between 40 and 60 folks every week. It was at 9 a.m. on Saturdays through July and August. And people loved it. Like it was really fun. We were in Animal Acres and it was actually really fun because we would we would take over different parts of Animal Acres depending on the weather or what else was going on. So sometimes it was like really hot, so we needed to be over by the big trees, or sometimes it was kind of cloudy, so we wanted to be out in the middle of the main field to get the sun, or sometimes like the stage was set up for picnic in the park, so we had to, so it was kind of fun because it had this sort of festive, like, we were getting to know the park, and yeah, it was fun. And every week, volunteers from this board were there to check people in. So there was some volunteer labor that went into making it happen. A friend of Amy's made a really beautiful poster. I'm thinking of all the labor that went into it. friend of Amy's made a really beautiful poster. The city made copies of that poster, and well, we hang them around town. And then it was blasted out on the city's social media and such. And that was about the extent of our advertising. So pretty minimal labor for what felt like a good payoff. I don't know, what did I miss or what else?
I thought that was great. That was a very good synopsis of what occurred. It was very successful and a lot of fun. And we should just take the same poster, change the dates for this year. We got the poster done, start advertising earlier. You know, this let people really plan, see it. And if we have any other ideas as to how we can promote it, you know, that would really be good. And I know you had some ideas about the instructors and getting, you know, making sure that it's universal yoga. In other words, you know, it appeals to lots of people. You had all great ideas about that, Alice, I remember. So
Thanks.
I really like the idea of setting up, you know, using this opportunity for engagement, because people do chat with you when they're signing in and when they're leaving, because there's a lot of good feeling and community feeling. I do remember one suggestion we had, which is that people could sign the waiver for the whole session. They didn't have to sign a separate waiver each time. So we could change the waiver so that it applied to all the sessions if you attended more than one. That would create some efficiency. Anyway, I thought it was immensely popular, and the community building part of it really did occur. But I agree, if we can get people's email addresses so we can put them on the notice list for the engagement and the park planning and so forth, that would be really good. And having some materials prepared by the consultant that we could have because the timing should be perfect for July and August for the master plan process. So I just wanted to reinforce that.
Are there any details that we need to start working through on this now? My perspective was that I thought it was very successful and fun thing to do. And Alice did it all, not entirely, but you did a lot of work on it. So I don't mean to make it such a great thing and then make you do it again, or have it rely on you necessarily. That's not fair. But if you're interested, or if you have expertise that you can help to kick this off, or if you need more support, maybe we can talk about that. Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to sort of spearhead it again this year. That's just fine. I'll do some reflection before the next meeting about the things to think about sooner rather than later. Like, it's just occurring to me, Taylor, that we used your Cub Scouts mic for the whole session, because after the first session we realized no one could hear. So like, it really was a community event. So things like that, just, you know, what's the infrastructure and what's the planning? I don't know if it would be appropriate to, I want to make sure that local instructors who are interested have a chance to get involved. So it's not just my friends. So I don't know if it would be appropriate for the city to push that out, to say like, call for instructors. I don't know how the vetting process would work. But these are sort of some of the questions.
Yeah, I'll work with our attorney to see about like if we're allowed to like make that call, and I'll get back with you, Alice.
Okay.
And then I'll work about like the waiver situation too. But yeah, I think maybe just besides that, like start looking at the timeline of like when you want to start and end the summer, and kind of just keep going from there.
Cool.
Yeah. So for our next meeting, what do we need for that? We need likely, like maybe as Corey was saying, sort of the outline of what it is, which I think I mean, my sense is that last year was a pretty darn good model for it.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about changing anything, I guess this would be the time to talk that through, or adding, I don't know, is a weeknight option intriguing? Or do we, if there's an abundance of instructors, maybe, but it seemed like the Saturday morning was the prime time. That seemed really good.
Yeah. Corey, will the city be able to fund the stipends again?
Yeah, we'll be able to do the teacher stipend. We'll get a microphone too this
Great.
year.
Cool.
You can rent mine. Probably a conflict there, never mind.
Well, it's just helpful if the yoga teacher has a
Headset.
and with the headset, so it's completely separate. They're not connected to anything. They can just be heard. So
Yeah.
that's pretty important.
Yeah, yoga with a handheld mic is
Really hard.
And then, yeah, the advertising sounds about right. The dates, I think, unless we're thinking about expanding them, July and August seemed good. I mean, is it worth bumping it earlier or later? I don't know.
It worked great.
Yeah, last year we started, I think it was like the first Saturday after the 4th of July.
Yeah, sounds right.
Like high summer.
Yeah.
And then it did taper. I really did notice like attendance, it never was less than 40, but August is a time when people are. So I actually think 6 weeks was good because I don't know what's happening.
Compressed it.
Yeah,
I agree.
so.
We also
I thought we also had children there, so we should be clear that all ages are welcome. The parents had to sign waivers for their kids, which took more time because they had to sign multiple waivers, but so that's another thing. If you bring a couple of kids, could you sign just one waiver and just fill in 2 different names? But I think making it clear that all ages are welcome would be good because it was kind of a mini family event for some people, but not everybody brought their kids, so just.
I think that the preliminary advertising, we need to appeal to people who've never done yoga, people who'd like to be introduced to yoga, people who are older, they can bring a chair, and just make sure that the teachers are reminded that this is for the community.
Yeah.
And it's not just, a straight yoga class, designed one way. I think we have to have a universal appeal. So we could probably do a little better on that end. Yeah, that was my thought on it.
Yeah.
But truly, we have such a great model to start with, Alice. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I feel like one lesson learned from last year was we printed on the posters who was teaching and what style of yoga it would be each week to sort of try to anticipate that, to be like, people can choose what they like. And then of course, one person's schedule changed. And so then there's like this domino. So then the poster was out of date. So I think you're right that just people will show up, it'll be whatever style it is, but the teacher needs to teach for access. Yeah.
I think we can do like one main poster. We can, send it around to the businesses and stuff, but then like maybe before each week, when we do the social media announcement, we can just put like the instructor and the type of yoga, do something like that instead.
That's really cool. I like that.
So we'll pick this up again at the next meeting next month and get to the next steps, because it seems to me like we're on a good track.
I probably won't be at the next meeting, but I'll prepare up some notes and send them to you, Tyler.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the risk of making more work for anyone, is it worth thinking about other locations in addition, just to spread spread the geographic reach of it, especially if there are other instructors who volunteer. You know, is that something worth trying to coordinate? You know, highlight other parks and engage other communities.
Yeah, Alice, do you have any thoughts on? I feel like we started that we thought about that last year too, right? We thought about doing, was it Horizon View? Was the other option? Or if I remember, we thought, maybe this is worth reconsidering. We thought then at least, let's just see if this works and try one location, same time, same place, not too many variables. But I think it's worth thinking about. There are multiple instructors. If we get a good turnout, we do Saturdays one day, Sundays another day. Again, I don't know if there's that much demand for it, but maybe. Any thoughts?
Doing like the first month is at Animal Acres and the second month is at Horizon View or something like that.
Yeah.
So we can kind of keep it a little bit more clustered and not differentiate so much. So maybe we could split it.
We ultimately didn't choose Horizon View last summer because of the parking and transportation access. That Animal Acres is accessible by bus and just has tons of street parking. And Horizon View, as we know, has 16 spaces or something. And so I think that was the tricky part about that, in addition to the just messaging and wanting to make sure people don't get confused.
Yeah. And also Horizon View doesn't have shade.
Mm-hmm.
And that would really, I think, made a huge difference that at Animal Acres, we had choices. That was one of the things, as I recall, would be something to consider. I kind of like the idea that, you know, Animal Acres is very central in Lake Forest Park. You know, it's really centrally located. And so nobody cares. I mean, it's a 5-minute drive for everybody. If you're coming from anywhere in Lake Forest Park, you're driving 5 minutes. So I kind of like that. I really appreciate you thinking that, Josh, because we sort of considered that last year too. And of course, I guess we'd have to just see. I mean, if the program is doubly successful and we have like 80 people show up, then we'll definitely have to think about more opportunity. But, you know, based on our numbers, if we think we're going to get about the same, I thought it worked out pretty well. It was doable, certainly, at Animal Acres. So I don't know.
Yeah, I certainly, you know, the risk of confusion and the added complexity may well not be worth trying to tackle, but it might be worth thinking about down the road also as it grows. You know, smaller things in some of the smaller parks.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
There are more who seem interested.
Yeah. And right, part of our mission, at least part of my goal in thinking this through, I'll speak for myself, is to get people into the parks. And the more parks we can get them into, the more exposure they get, the more, I think that's better. I think they're their parks, right? So great to get people out into them. Plus there's swings at that one. That's fun. And maybe on that note, like, I don't have any good ideas now, but maybe you do, or maybe you can think of some. Anything else that could follow this model of the yoga in the parks, right? Something we do on a weekend morning, nice weather, not Saturday mornings. We already got something. Something else, kind of community building, relatively low lift. I don't know what audience we're trying to serve, but
I do think you all talked about kind of structured walk, you know, with a leader or something like that, where people could come together. Again, it wouldn't be like a hike, it would be like a leisurely walk from A to B. And we never quite came up with the concept for that, but I think we discussed, could we do the same model? Maybe there would only be 2 walks on a Sunday over the course of the summer. And maybe if July's better, it would be, 2 weekends in July to try that. But we never quite got that brainstormed and structured. It's something for people who might not be willing to do stretching in the parks. They might be willing to do a walk. And maybe the other thing we talked about is maybe the place where we walked, we could get a temporary street closure. So I just wanted to remind people of what I recalled on that. I think, Tyler, you raised that issue before, but we never quite got it off the ground.
It's kind of hovering just inches above the ground. And it is later on our agenda to talk through the walking routes. So we could, that's a good one for this like weekend activity, I think. I just feel like there's something else out there, like I don't know, a kids activity or a naturalist or wasn't there somebody counting bats? What was that guy doing? I don't know, there's something.
It's the bird guy, the bird count guy.
Right.
He was really, I think he was trying to get community engagement. I'm curious how successful he's been. He was doing the bird counts and inventories. So I don't know what we could do with that. Maybe we should invite him back to chat with us.
Yeah, and now there's beavers living at Grace Cole too, so maybe can figure out how to partner with someone to do sort of a nature, native plants, birds, some sort of educational component out there.
I like that idea. I think having like a talk and a little walk at Grace Cole with, something on the beavers and the birds, that would be good. Josh could be our leader.
Yeah. Well, with those of you, Tyler, Josh, and Alice, you all have little kids. I mean, if they have ideas as to what they would like to do, would they like to go on a walk or a hike and learn about the birds and the bees? Oh, did I say that? Sorry. To tune in to that. The other thing I thought of is, I'm wondering if there are projects in the park that need funding that we could do some of these activities, not only as community building, but as fundraisers. So if you come to the park and you pay $1 to $5 to, whatever it might be, and you have a naturalist, you have somebody who's taking you on this hike. I think people, and they bring their kids and, it's $1 a kid or whatever. I mean, something just minimal, but, over time there might be a little bit of a kitty that we're, pumping to try to support our parks and do things that need to happen in the parks. So if the kids are if your kids are at the park and they want something, they identify a climbing structure, something that they want, and we can fundraise through these activities. I think that would we get double our, bigger bang for our buck.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe could even do like a park cleanup with the park board one day.
Well, that sounds like fun, Corey.
I know Tyler's been out there with his troop before doing something.
Oh yeah. The problem I would say with doing a cleanup project is the parks are actually pretty clean. So it's not like it's covered in trash. If you want to pull some ivy though, we can find some ivy.
Yeah, our maintenance guys are pretty cool. I know they're up at Horizon View. I mean, we're always, waving to them and talking to them, so.
I was just gonna say about walks, I really loved the idea of having them in the winter as like we are getting outside, even though it's dark and cold, but realizing it was a big lift. Like no one actually really wanted to plan it because maybe we didn't actually want to do it, you know? But I'm thinking if we started that in the summer and, you know, set it as a activity that people could do when it's pleasant out and, oh, I'm walking and this is great. And then they continued in the winter, it might have a little bit more momentum.
Maybe it's a like once a month walk, or maybe start it in the fall, like September, October. You know, that's kind of getting on the brink of nice weather. You can then gauge, you know, the level of commitment that they have.
We're kind of jump into that one real quick on the summer, the walking route project. So I'll take a look at that and think about sort of the planning of that, when it might work. I'll come back at the next meeting and have some more thoughts about that. I think I have a decent route or two identified, kind of a pretty quick, like 1 mile walk, or a longer 2.5 mile walk, I think, that connects, I don't know, most of our parks actually right around the town center. And then, yeah, that's probably enough. That's probably as complex as it needs to be. Although there is a section of, it's hard to make those routes on sidewalks, turns out, in our little city. So there are some sections that might need some police assistance to make them passable. But you know, I think it's within reason.
Are there, Tyler, and if anybody knows, are there walking paths at the parks other than at Horizon View?
There is one at Animal Acres, actually, around the park.
That's right. That's
the
right.
quarter mile.
But that's really short. Yeah, the
There's
one
at 5 Acre Woods, but
5
it's
Acre.
more of a trail, you know, and which is narrow in places. And there's walkways at Grace Cole as
Yes.
well. And
Yes.
remember, the Stewardship Foundation would like to have some more boardwalks there.
Yes.
That's one of their requests. So just but I haven't looked at them with the idea that you would have a group of people walking there. You know, I've never looked at them with that in mind.
I mean, I think people are always surprised when they come up to Horizon View and they realize you can do a very nice walk all the way around the reservoir and back. I never remember how long it is, but it's a really easy walk. And I think, you know, people think, oh God, the parks, I have to be on a trail. You know, some people are unsteady. And I think it would be really good for us to make it clear, there are places you can walk. If you want to hike, you know, on a trail, you go to Grace Cole. If you want to just do a simple walk, because I mean, getting people outside and healthier certainly should be, as the Parks Board, I think we should be encouraging that community, and we have good things going on. So I think that would be good if we put that, the walking program would just be great to say, look, we have all these different kinds of opportunities. Walk. Yes.
Yeah, Josh.
If this is beyond the scope, I withdraw this, but I could, relative to the discussion of Prop 1, I could see, in terms of sort of building community understanding of the stakes of that sort of comprehensive planning, highlighting places where there are missing pedestrian access, and, you know, showing where those missing connections exist, could be part of the community, an effective part of community outreach to build support for that sort of work down the road, and could be a good way to tie in those upcoming discussions about the master plan, and if there were to be a funding proposition attached to it, you know, to help people understand the stakes, because I think that's something that can be difficult to visualize, but a way to engage people, potentially, I don't, you know, the actual campaign for that is beyond, I suspect, our scope, but to connect, to identify people who might become advocates for that sort of work.
Yeah, that's great. And let's not forget, Max is big on the whole walking thing.
He
So
loves
he's
it.
kind of our liaison, our walking guy. So, you know, we need to make sure Max is tied into all this.
Oh yeah, but I've run these routes by, not run, sorry. I've shown these routes to Max and
Cool.
he's on board with them. But Josh, I think that's an excellent point. And as I walked one of these routes a while ago, I could visualize in my mind the little signs I'd want to place where the sidewalk ends. And at the front gate of the park saying what we could do, or, you know, what, or where there are sidewalks saying why there's a sidewalk there, like what, who paid for that? It could be a pretty informative walk, actually. So I think that's a really good point. A little pamphlet they take and take a little tour of the parks.
You know, I would like to say that I know I could get a huge group of people who want to learn how to play pickleball. The problem is going to be the huge number of people. And because
A small number of courts.
and the small number of courts. And so I'm very hesitant because we could do a pickleball clinic and I'm sure I would get tons of people to show up. I'm confident of it because it's so popular.
That would be so fun. Please do it. I wanted to come.
You see, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody wants to learn how to play. The problem then becomes, okay, now we get all these people who want to play and we don't have any place for them to play. That's my withhold on this, is that as much as I want, you know, I'm the ambassador to Lake Forest Park, basically, in the pickleball community. And I just fear the putting it out there of like doing like a yoga thing, you know, similar, like, oh, let's do a pickleball clinic every Sunday morning or whatever. I'm like, oh, no, we won't. I can't even envision with just 2 courts how we would accommodate enough people. So if anybody has a thought on how we might do that and get to more people, that's fine. But until we have more courts, I don't think we can, you know, we'd have to use, I don't know.
Parking lot.
I don't know. We'd have to see if there are courts else. I don't know where else there are courts. That's the problem. So anyway, I know it's a popular subject. And Alice, personally, you, anytime you want to learn, you come on. And I'll be happy to bring your family, partners, whomever, and I'll teach you. So, but you're special.
Okay, I'll take you up on it. Yeah, it seems like it doesn't scale the same way just because it has such particular infrastructure needs. So yoga, it's just space. Walking, people can stretch out. But yeah, pickleball, I agree though, that would be really fun. But I also can't imagine how it would work.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now. But for the future, we can keep it in mind. We'll figure it out when we have 15, 16 courts somewhere, right, Lori? Excuse me.
This is good stuff. Kind of leads into maybe the next one, or maybe this is all kind of part of the same agenda item on our list. Says summer events. Corey, was that something different that we were talking about, like citywide summer events?
Yeah, like city sponsored events.
Yeah.
I just think get them on your radar for park board involvement. Like I guarantee you by that time we will have some sort of outreach for the master planning process. But you know, I know some of you attended picnic in the park. You know, is there an activity that you guys maybe want to like bring along, or another idea, or maybe like just it might just end up being like the outreach for the master planning that might fall, that can be handled. But that's just something I want to get on people's radars. You know, the picnic in the park will be that's September 9th. And then I'm working on finalizing dates for Battle of the Bands and concerts in the park, so I'll have those all soon to you and stuff, so.
And then at the farmers market, I think there could be opportunities there too with Friends of Third Place Commons in terms of setting up our information tables for community engagement. I forget there's like the kids weekend there too at the farmers market, I think. And
Family Day.
pardon?
Yeah, but Family Day at the farmer market.
Yeah, Family Day. Yeah. So anyway, just an additional event to add to the list there.
Yeah, I would be great if we had a list of dates for those, so we could start working around those and maybe kind of try to mesh those up with the plan, like when activities are going on, when we need to start connecting with the community for the park planning, and how we as a board can help with that, both at these events and then maybe any other sort of special public comment section, sessions that we need. Amy.
Tyler, can we get a booth, like, a canopy thing at the farmer's market and staff it with the board? I mean, we'd only have to have one of us there more could come certainly, but I was just thinking it would be really helpful if we could do, like you were just saying, if we just had a form that people could fill out, or tell them, here, fill this out, or go online and fill out what do you want to see in the parks? Because we need to have a vehicle to gather data from our citizens. This is where I feel we're a little bit on a disconnect. We need to have that. So that would certainly be one great place to get to a substantial number of people and have them tell others. So that would be one thing. And then also be able to advertise our activities that are going on. So not only learn what they want, but tell them what's going on, because I don't think people know all the time about, Battle of the Bands and the, walking and yoga and all the stuff we do. So I would definitely suggest we try to get a booth at the farmer's market. We may not need it every weekend, but certainly several times, I think, during when the farmer's market is on would be great.
Corey, does the city have a booth there sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, like we did the Family Day at the farmer's market, but I think it would be, we would just have to figure out how many times you guys would want to do that, and I'm sure Amy would be able to kind of fit us in at certain places, but we can figure something out like that.
What's good about that is that's a Sunday, and I don't think you would even have to staff the booth the whole time, because peak times. And you could do it every other Sunday or something like that. And so that's possible. I did want to say that both the Planning Commission and the Climate Action Committee have done online surveys. And they've been really successful in terms of the number of residents who comment. And also what's interesting is not just their answers, but the written comments they do. People do very extensive written comments.
Yeah.
And so the city's getting increasing experience with using that, and using the booth as an entry point to doing an online survey seems like a really good way to go, to get the word out for people who might not have seen the notice in, Next Door or the Shoreline Area News. So,
Right.
Yeah, you definitely put something together like recreation focused.
Mhm.
We want to aim it so it's like realistic of, we're not looking to actually, start leagues or anything, but
Cool.
figure out a way to, how can we bring, what sort of other recreation ideas?
I was thinking of it for the master planning processes, And I mean, at some point you could, it's easy because you could go through park by park. First of all, you tell people what the parks are, which they may not know. And you could have a little map and then ask people, what do you want to see at Grace Cole Park? And everyone who wants a boardwalk could, write in and say they want a boardwalk or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
In the discussion before of events, I wanted to just say I'm happy to take the prompt about a naturalist program of some sort, and see what might be possible with it. I'll check with the Seattle Audubon Society and see if they have
Awesome.
suggestions on bird walks. And in I think your point about a regular park cleanup is probably not necessary, but it may be possible to do maybe a Earth Day cleanup.
Oh, yeah. Good, yeah.
Or if not a cleanup, then ivy clean out or other beautification, or if there are projects that the public could take part in for any or all of the parks around. I think that's especially a day that people are often looking for ways to volunteer.
Yeah.
Often there are also big volunteer pushes around Martin Luther King's birthday, which we're past, but we can be thinking of for a year from now.
Yeah, a good winter.
Yeah, those are great ideas. Could I just say the bird guy who I think, rather than going to Audubon, his name is Doug something. Corey, you probably know, but if you could get his info to Josh, he's a professor at UW Bothell, and he's into birds in Lake Forest Park, and he's been doing these inventories. So he's very aware and would probably have some good suggestions for you. I just remember he was pretty inspirational when he came and talked to us.
Right.
I don't see his name.
Yeah, Doug Wacker, but I'll send his information to you, Josh.
Great.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking through the minutes. It's like somebody writes this stuff down every time we meet. It's fantastic.
My very vague memory, I remember being really inspired by his presentation too. And my very vague memory was that he's doing a lot of collection of songbirds with his students, but that there might have been an opportunity for community, like participant, like science, what's the word? Participants. What's that?
Citizen science.
Citizen science, yeah. And that might have been a place that we could collaborate. And so I don't know like what the scope of that would look like on either side, but there might be a cool possibility there.
All right, so that's the summer event. So maybe for the next meeting on that, Corey, could you maybe have some dates for us so we can start planning that out for the events? I think you'll have maybe a little bit more detail on the schedule by then, right?
Yeah, I should have a little bit more concrete, so.
Cool, and that'll be okay. And yeah, it seems like we can start thinking about how the Parks Board can be involved in those things. I feel like for the March meeting, we might not have, I think the other parallel track of the consultants and the project will still be pretty early. So I'm not sure we'll have quite the detail we need for when we're going to need to engage, but a better idea. So maybe we'll be able to at least sort of reserve some dates where we think we'll need to be, that us on this board will need to be available for staffing some of those booths. We can spread that around a little bit. Are there, I can't remember this part, are there limitations on how many of us can be staffing a booth at one time? Or is it just we can't hold an actual meeting?
The booth might be different because we can advertise that you guys will be there. But yeah, like say doing subcommittees that have to be less than a quorum. So right now we have 5, so it'd be 3. Yeah.
No more than 2 together. But Corey's right, as long as there's public notice,
Okay.
it's not an issue, but I can't imagine we would have more than 2 board members anyway, realistically.
Should have 6. So
Working on it. Okay, and then we're on to the 2023 work plan. Where did that?
yeah, I sent that out a little bit later today.
Oh, there it is.
I can put it on. Share my screen.
Did everybody have a chance to track this one down for themselves?
I have a question,
Please.
which is, I found that some of the most interesting work on this board has been when we get to be advisory to questions that council member Bodie brings from the city council. And can that be represented in our scope of work, that we are a body that can and should be consulted? You know, I remember the question about alcohol in the parks was a really interesting one, and I would love to have those kinds of conversations be a part of our official scope of work.
I think perhaps something that says, you know, provide advice on matters affecting the parks to the city council, the planning commission,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, and I don't know if there's an interface with the climate action committee at this point, because I don't know enough about their work plan, but at least to those 2 entities, and I continue to I will continue to make the council aware if there's something that overlaps with the interests of the board. I will continue to make sure that there's an opportunity for board members to be heard. So I think that's a fine item to add, and it reminds the council and the planning commission to you know, remember that you're here.
Okay, so we can I'll add that.
So it would be something like provide recommendations to the council and the planning commission on you know, issues that intersect with parks and recreation, something like that.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I'll add that, and then we can bring it back. And if there's any other additions next meeting, and then maybe we can look at adopting and bringing this to council in the next couple months or whatever, however long it takes us to get there.
Yeah, it would be good to wrap it up before we start the process. So if it could come back, if you could finalize it at the next meeting, and so it could come to the council for approval in early April, that would be a good timeline. So if we could, you know, take a chance to look at this again and vote on it in March, that and make any corrections you all want it to make to it in March, and then bring it, and you could have Corey present it to the council, or Corey and Tyler could present it to the council. Depends on the group whether they want to have a representative there when the council looks at it and approves it. I don't think there'll be much difficulty with council approval of this. It's just a formality we need to take care of.
Yeah, and I mean, more the park board can go besides Tyler too, if you guys wanted to, so.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I didn't mean to exclude anyone.
Come on down. The three of them make perfect sense to me. The park's social media presence. Can we talk that one through a little bit? Are we doing much with that?
No, I think at one point we talked about doing like a park spotlight once a month, like someone would write up
Right.
something about the park. So, we want to continue that, or, maybe it kind of goes on hold with like the walking part. Maybe those two kind of collide a little bit more than we thought.
I thought that this was, as you said, Corey, my recollection is that we would have something more than we have on the city website. So we'd have a little snapshot with some photos, a little narrative, short description with and a description of the recreation that's possible with a picture of a park. And, it's the kind of thing that you could put on social media. Once you have it written, you wouldn't have to change it. You could just have a schedule every year of rotating through the parks on the city's social media. So that was what I recalled, but Corey, I think it kind of stopped because of the staffing issues, because basically a lot of the responsibility for pulling that together falls on your shoulders, and you have you're like a multitasked person. You already have about 8 hats you wear. So I think that was the concept, as I recall, but I do think that the issue was really staff time to pull it together. On the other hand, at the point where we have a master planning process for all the parks, maybe we'll have those snapshots and recreation opportunities and stuff that we can use for social media, and then rotate through it every year because people forget.
So is it almost more like a social media calendar or social media plan that we can help put together?
I think we also we talked about the idea of there's the e-news, and if the park board wanted to write up a monthly article of highlighting something, that was an option too.
Okay.
So these could be written up by you guys. Each one can rotate a month and do a little thing, and I'd be able to correct it and provide whatever information else. But that might be an easy win that we could get going.
Okay, that was, thank you for explaining that. That was helpful. Maybe I'll invite, that seems something that we could do, actually, each of us take at least a month, do one a year. We don't have to wait for your month. You can just write it whenever, take a few pictures, but maybe we can maybe think about how that works for you and your editorial abilities, and we can talk about it at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Try to get a little more firm on that if we're going to do it. Any other thoughts on that, or any of them?
No, I think that's a great idea. I think we need to have a little blurb about each park. I think it would be like our private pocket parks, And then just something about the sweet little parks where you can just get a quiet moment. Do you need a quiet moment? You know, do you live near blah, blah, whatever I don't even know the names, I'm sorry. But those little pocket parks, I think that's a great idea. And then, you know, more activities at Animal Acres. And yeah, I think that's just a terrific idea. I really do. I think it would be really fun to just highlight a park, or a couple of them. You know, we could probably do more than one at a time.
The writing doesn't need to be a whole lot if you have pictures.
Yeah,
I appreciate this. This is helping me understand that number too, because I was also confused. But it's helping me think about, there was some comment that we had received last year at some point, which was like, why don't these parks look like parks? Like, where's the playground? You know, and so they also could be low-key informational about like different parks have different functions, and this is what restoration, you know, if you want to join a restoration party, here's one that's coming up. So it could be, you know, just information sharing. I like it.
All right, sounds like it's at least it's going to stick around on our draft work plan. That's good. Think about how that would work. I think it has a lot of potential. Let's pull it together, I guess, at the next time when we're gonna vote on this plan. Similarly, if you have any other thoughts or comments about what's on here, what's not on here, anything you want to add or update, we'll be looking at it again next month.
Corey, does the city have pictures of each of the parks? Is there like a photo library?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a decent amount of pictures. So it also, you know, I don't mind taking a little break and taking some snapshots every once in a while, so it's okay.
That could be a more fun part of your job.
Yeah, get me out a little bit.
Take a field trip. It's got to be some perks to having a parks job.
Corey, is there a map that has all the parks, like a map of Lake Forest Park that identifies where all the parks are? I would think so.
Yeah, we have we don't have anything. The printed Lake Forest Park map is outdated, but there is a map on the web page that has all the parks picked out. So I'll try to find that and send that out to you guys too.
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you.
They look kind of teeny and sprinkled around when
Yeah.
you see it.
That's why the description is so important, and what goes on, you know, what we can highlight about each of our parks.
Yeah, and the webpage does have like some history and like some of that stuff that's pulled out, but you know, I really think people are looking at social media more than our webpage. So
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
All right, that's great. We're back to the agenda. I lost it, excuse me. Too many windows open. Oh, that was the last of our old business. Sorry, I didn't notice. We usually have a other business that we forgot to mention. That's usually the last one here. Is there anything that we did not that you'd like to bring up? Anybody?
Do we want to ask our planning commission representative who's here to say a few words if she wants to?
I'd love to. Hi, my name is Meredith Labonte, and I am on the Planning Commission, and it's just been such a delight to hear you guys talking. As Councilmember Bodie mentioned, we are doing an update of the comprehensive plan, and just listening to you guys, really there's overlap in 3 of the elements that I kind of see, and that is community service. You guys are doing things like yoga in the park and pickleball and involvement in the summer events. So there's overlap in that. So what we'd want to incorporate those things in the comprehensive plan. Also There's an element of parks and trails. So the things that you guys are doing, like the walking routes and the park cleanup and the ivy extraction, that would be the element where we would incorporate those kinds of things. And then also there's a environmental and shoreline element. So that would be where the master plan that you're working on will come into play. So yeah, there was lots of things for me to hear, and I was really happy to do that. And we'll take that back to the planning commission.
That's great. Thanks for joining us.
As a citizen, I just thought one of an idea, what if just to get more people to visit all the parks, maybe like a scavenger hunt for the kids during the summer. I know libraries will have, you read this many books and you get a prize of some sort, and maybe a scavenger hunt where kids, when they're off, can go visit all the parks and have some sort of little prize or something. Could be an idea to get people out there and visiting all the parks.
Yeah, that one's been thrown around.
Has it?
a bit.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
A neighbor of mine mentioned geocaching as another version of that.
I didn't know people. When I was a kid, we did that at parks, geocaching. Yeah. So.
Josh, excuse me, what did you say? What's it called?
Geocaching. So there are websites where you basically post the GPS coordinates of usually it's like just a small sealed container. There are different sizes, and you keep a log. You can sign in and say, I found this, and people will sometimes leave a little trinket or take a little trinket. We could have some sort of if there were LFP parks swag that we wanted to put there that people could collect, it could be a way to sort of collect all the whatever it is.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's this board has thought around the idea of a scavenger hunt a lot, and every time we do it, it seems to get overly complicated, and so we never do it. That's been my experience. But I like the idea of focusing it on kids who are out of school and just like focus on that. Like, it doesn't have to be overly elaborate. Like a checklist they can fill. I like the idea of the national parks passports. Keep little cancellation stamps in them, something like that. But anyway, I think we should keep thinking about that. I like the idea of engaging kids in the parks. Well, with that, I think, should we open it up for other citizen comments?
Yeah, so we have one online, and if you want to make a comment, you can just raise your hand and I'll put you in the panelist. Might be no comment.
Okay, so no comment. Is that what I'm hearing,
Oh.
Corey?
Just kidding.
Oh,
There you go. Richie.
Hi.
hello.
Hi, good evening. Hi,
Hello.
Alice. I know Alice. My child, Rob Roy, and Alice's daughter are classmates in first grade.
Hi, it's so good to hear you.
Yeah. My comment is I would like to see more activities. Well, I'm thinking in terms of, is it possible to kind of segregate or kind of identify our the demographics of Lake Forest citizens? And like, for example, we have small kids, elementary age kids. Let's identify activities for them, recreational and park-based activities for the elementary age kids. And then there's another set for middle school kids and another set for high school kids. and then we'll have different activities for moms or parents, and then we have the another set for the older set. I am thinking of like what they have right now in Shoreline, what they've done in Shoreline, and I've been signed up for several of their programs, and I've signed up my kid for their kid-focused programs, and it was really sad for us when the swimming pool closed, because he was signed up for that. But I did get him signed up in Mount Lake Terrace, and now he's signed up in Seattle in a Meadowbrook pool. So I believe that there's a lot of recreational opportunities that other cities are doing that we should also be offering in our own city for our community, that they don't have, or I don't have to go out of Lake Forest Park to participate in. So that's my comment. And I hope to be able to join the board and, you know, brainstorm and kind of come up with things that will be enjoyed by everyone, by all demographics.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate it. I'm not sure we have enough time to actually identify all the points you made, because you had some excellent points in there that we've been thinking about and working through, and I'd say struggling with for a few years on this board and in the city. So look forward to you joining the board and helping us work on them. There's a lot we can do. There's not a lot of funding that we have to do it with, I think, is one of the struggles. Any other comments? Corey, is that?
No, we just got the two
Okay.
attendees.
All right. Well, with that, I think I will adjourn us. So this is the end of our February meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. It was nice to see you all. And Corey will be in touch for planning the next one. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Have fun
everyone.
in England.
Have fun.